Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the podcast. How are you all doing?
Yeah, right?
On this freezing cold morning in Chicago where it's like 7 below. The feel is 7 below. So we are up and sprightly and ready to go.
Well, we're up.
I'm ready to go.
And ready to go.
Okay, everyone, this is going to be a two-parter because sometimes when I'm starting to do work on episodes that I think would be helpful for all of you, it's just there's something I can't talk about all of it in just 45 minutes. I feel like I'm not doing almost in some ways my due diligence for all of you. We need to get into it a little bit more. So this is a popular one. This is anxiety. And who doesn't have anxiety? Most of the world, I think, has some degree of anxiety, right? Worry or nervousness or second guessing of our thoughts. And most of us don't have a clinical diagnosis of GAD, which is generalized anxiety disorder, or any of the anxieties. We just are living in a world where we're anxious and we get depressed. So this warrants two parts. Okay. So what I'm going to talk about today is anxiety and what it looks like for all of you. And it's going to be different for each of you as you're watching and listening. And then the second part is going to be I'm giving you the tools. Now, remember, I'm not your therapist. I'm not your coach. Take this as a generality for all of you. Take what works for you, drop the rest. Okay. As always on this podcast, pick up and take what works for you, drop the rest. All right. Because this is general information. It's psychoeducation for all of you. If you're working with me one-on-one, it's going to look real different because I know you and we're into your story and your life and your experience. And I'm teaching you the skills for you. Okay. So just want to clarify and make that known.
Okay. Got it.
Okay.
Makes
All
sense.
Right. So anxiety, how do we decrease anxiety without becoming sort of like robotic in our lives, right? This is a big one because it's, it's something that, like I said, we have this nervousness and this worry, so many of us throughout our lives, in our personal lives, living in our head, anxious thoughts we have that we tell nobody about. We just have learned to live with it. And there is a way for all of us to move away from that and to get out of it and to not live that way, to not think in this world of stress and nervousness and worry all the time. There is a way out, everyone. Okay. And I didn't know for a long time because I always say this. I mean, I get anxious. I don't get depressed. I do get down, but I'm not as much of a depressive person. I'm more of a worry person.
Yeah, for sure.
What about you?
You run anxious.
I do run anxious.
Most of the time.
Thanks.
Okay.
I've learned how to deal with it. I mean, I do.
It's not bad. I
no,
mean,
it's my, I think it's my, it's my wire.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because something made me anxious last week. And I just had this moment where I was like, Anna, you've been on this planet for more than half a century and you learned these skills so long ago.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, I was really upset about something last week. That was something with my work, not my personal life. And I was worrying and I thought, you know how to stop doing this. You're living in your head. Like you're in this loop. You're looping. You know not to do this.
Yeah.
And so I do employ the skills, but I sometimes get surprised at myself that I still go back there. Like, why do you do this? And I really do think, Tim, I almost think it's like I say, it's my wiring. Like it's my genetics. Like it is just my default. My default is to worry. I don't think it's yours.
It's not mine. No.
You don't,
I mean, I do worry, but I don't
not like I
don't live there. You live there.
I live there.
Yeah, you live there.
And I will loop. So
Yeah.
I got out of it. I know I'm sorry. Tim is getting mad at me right now because I have a no chip manicure and it's coming off and I need to go get it taken off. And then manicurists always get mad at me because they say you're ruining your nails. I'm right here. I'm sitting here right now. And I do this with my clients in session too. I pick at my fingernails. I need to stop doing it. Maybe it's part of my anxiousness. Maybe it's part of my nervous. It's a nervous tick.
Who's to say? Now it's on video. So now we can see
you
it.
can't see it because it's behind the laptop. It's not attractive, but I pick at my fingernail, my nail polish to get it off. But yeah, so I had to really work at it. And I thought, why? are you doing this? Because I really do think that my default is to go back to what I did when I was very young, and I will come out of it. And I do it.
Yeah.
So for all of you who, I always say this, I'm right there with you. And I always have wanted this podcast to be real and down to earth. And I never want you to feel like, yes, I'm teaching you skills and tools that I've learned in my practice and through my education and my continuing education. And a lot of this I do employ my personal life, but I want you to know I'm right there with you. Like, this is every day, get up and start over. Every day, get up and start over. Tomorrow's a new day, because life throws us curveballs every single damn day. And every single damn day, there's something new that's going on.
Yeah.
And who knows from any given moment what would trigger us. Now, does meditation work? Yes, it does work. Does it help? Yes. Does prayer, if you're a praying person, help? Absolutely. I pray and I meditate. It has been, I got to tell you, it's been game changing for me with my anxiety. Game changing for me with my anxiety. And I still get anxious.
Yeah.
So
can we just compare? I think it's a good thing to say out loud. Like, let's compare an example of your anxiety and an example of mine. Because I think the listener is going to be able to relate to, like, oh yeah, that's me. That's never me. That might be me.
Okay.
Right. So I think for you, this is just my assessment.
Go ahead.
Okay?
Probably right.
So my assessment with you is you're anxious because you're analyzing, right? You're trying to figure out what's going on the inside of the situation, whether it's with another situation or it's another person.
Yeah.
You're trying to drill down and just get to the bottom of it.
I'll
right? But you can't let it go.
I will ruminate.
Yeah.
I will ruminate on something.
And you'll just spin that ball until your fingers are tired of spinning it, and then you'll take a break and then you'll spin it again. Right?
Yeah.
That's kind of how it goes.
It's suffering. It's a form of suffering and anxiety. I think for all of us, I think it's really important for all of us to know life is about suffering, and you ain't getting out of this life without suffering, and everybody is suffering.
Right.
That is my form of, suffering.
Yeah.
That's like the cross I've had to bear, is that sort of suffering. Anxiety, yeah.
And then what do I say to you every once in a while? When you've, like, in my opinion, you've exhausted the analysis moment. You need to, like, what I always say to you, flip the page. Flip the page. It's time to, like, get off the page and let's go to the next page.
You say turn the page, and you said to me one time, I said this here on the podcast, it was really helpful. You said, you're on second base, you're stuck on second base, and you got to run to third.
You gotta go. You gotta go. That's so true.
It was the best. Well, it was such a visual.
Yeah.
I think it's a visual for a lot of people, but us loving sports and having played softball as a kid, one of my favorite sports. But you're right. Yeah. And I remember we were in our bedroom and I was obsessing about something that had really been upsetting to me a few years ago.
Yeah.
And you said, you gotta, and I feel for you, because it's like, I know what it's like to listen to the person that talks over and over and over and over and over, perseverating on their issue, and they won't move out of it, and it does take patience. And sometimes you do get tired. I mean, how many people have I told before, I can't, like, I'm your friend or your family member, you need to go talk to somebody about this. Like, I can't just sit here. Well, we've talked about this. Like, I can't just be your punching bag or just kind of verbal vomiting on me. Like, you've got to go get professional help for someone else, not me, because I'm not your therapist and I'm not your life coach.
Yeah.
To teach you the tools to get out of this. You need someone to coach you up. Let me give you some names here. I know what it's like to get impatient with it a little bit. But you never seem impatient with me, but you probably are on the inside.
Well, no, but I think this is where your world and my world of anxiety overlap a little bit, right? Because I appreciate the fact that you're trying to get to the bottom of it, right? Like, you're taking the time to fully analyze, and when you get done,
I want the answer.
You will be confident that you have exhausted your search.
But Tim, right? Don't you agree though? I mean, when I'm done, I'm done.
Yes.
Like, when I get to the answer, I am finished. But unfortunately, you're my spouse and my best friend. You listen to all my sufferings through me. I actually don't think you've ever told me to go talk to somebody.
No.
I think I've thought I need to go talk to somebody.
You're talking to me.
I need coaching on this.
I'm the somebody.
You're the somebody, but you've never said, Anna, you need to, have you talked to so-and-so, your coach, about this?
Yeah.
ever talked
Well,
to
I
you?
don't
You
think
never
it's
said that.
ever gotten to that point
Yeah.
where I think it's just a full analysis that you feel like you need to do on the situation or on the person a lot of the times. And
I have to fully analyze it and look almost like it's like I have a bag and I've got all the stuff in this bag.
yeah,
And I open up the bag and I have to take and you're in the room with me and I take everything out of the bag and I like so everything is I take it out one by one. I put it on the bed. Like I put it on our bed. Here's the bag. I put it on the bed and I start taking everything out and I start talking about everything in the anxiety bag.
yeah,
And I'm like, well, there's that, and then this, and then that. And you're so great because you're so patient with me. And you sit there, you stand there beside the bed, and you look at it and you listen. And I think for you, you say, yeah, banana. And you're like, you bring that bag in like 3 or 4 times on 4 different days, and you keep taking everything out of the bag, right?
yeah. And I have a better visual that I think everybody will relate to. It's you looking for something at the bottom of your purse. Okay. You're looking for something at the bottom of your purse. And as you take things out to get to that item, you got to tell a story about every single thing that comes out of that purse. And by the
Welcome to being a woman.
yeah, and by the time we get to the bottom of the purse, like we've all like settled down into a chair, we've grabbed a cup of coffee,
You literally do that.
and we're like, okay, there's gonna be it's story time. We're gonna have to like now we gotta like get comfortable.
And then this,
Yeah.
oh yeah, well this, and this is about that
Yes.
anxiety, and this is what that worries me, and
Yes.
this is okay, you're right. That's very funny because I do that.
Yeah.
And you're pretty good. Okay. So that's my anxiety.
So for me, and this is I think there is a little bit of overlap here. So for me, my anxiety, the one that comes up, I think, often or more so than anything else for me
Right.
is like if there's something that we're trying to figure out, and I like to do research on things, you know this, and I don't want to get to the point where you and I make a decision about something that's important and then find out later that had I done just a little bit more research on this one particular piece of it, we would have maybe made a different decision.
Well,
in the end.
you get analysis paralysis.
Yeah.
You get stuck in it. You have a difficult time sometimes making decisions, and you try to make it be air quote perfect. Actually, I've never talked about this out loud before. I think you try to make the air quote perfect decision.
Yeah.
And there is no perfect decision.
Right.
So you do research. And I find that sometimes like you might get exasperated with me going through everything in my anxiety bag and then having a story about everything that comes out of the bag. You will get impatient at times. I can tell by the length of you look like Garfield from the cartoons. Like, you know, we're dating ourselves talking about Garfield and Odie, but you have like cats, like, you know, anybody who's had the cat who has the most annoying look on their face, like our Bruno, our cat does us like, okay, can you just feed me and stop? That's how you get this like Garfield, like dead look in your eyes. Like,
Is this different? Is this different than the millennial stare? Is it a little different than that?
It's a little bit from the millennial. No, that's a Gen Z stare.
Or Gen Z.
The Gen Z stare. The Gen Z stare just is more of a blank look.
Yeah.
The cat stare is more like
a little bit of
annoying. You're annoying me right now. Look.
Okay.
Sometimes you'll get that look on your face,
All
but
right.
more I think when it comes to you, I start to feel impatient after a while because I see like you haven't made a decision. It's weeks later and you're still doing research. I think you like the research, and it keeps you. And I say, like, make a decision.
Yeah. I enjoy the process. And I think
I didn't realize that was your anxiety.
Well,
though.
I think that the part that's I'm anxious about is, like I said before, is that if I miss something in the analysis of whatever it is we're trying to figure out, that's going to bug me at the end. Like, oh, I wish we should have bought that and not this. And I should have seen that along the way.
Oh,
If I had taken an extra
hard.
couple minutes and went this direction on the research project, I would have seen that.
And it affects us
Yeah.
in our relationship because it keeps things from not getting done.
Right.
And
Yeah.
I never knew that till right now. I never really put those two together.
Yeah.
Because I would just see you like online researching stuff, but I'm like, I never realized that. That's why we don't have things in a timely manner. Huh.
Too
Good
much
to know.
Too much digging.
Well, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
So there's two different kinds of anxieties. I mean, it shows up differently for everybody. And I think that for all of you, I mean, think about it in your life. Where does your anxiety show up? For some people, it's more outward, like mine with you. Now, listen, my friends and my family members, Even I think my kids, my daughters, who I talk to all the time, I don't even know. They might know I'm anxious, but they don't know it the way you know it. I don't show up as anxious. I mean, I don't show up really to people as being anxious because I don't show this. I mean,
Yeah.
most of us are not showing this in the outside world, right? We don't show it to people.
No.
It's this the stuff that's inside of us.
These are
But
moments.
I'll talk to you about it. But I
Yeah.
didn't realize for you this whole time. So think about yourself. Like how does your anxiety show up?
Yeah. And
Okay.
and I think that these are moments that you live while you're at home in the comforts of your own home, right?
Yeah.
There's comfort being here for you, and
Where it comes alive.
where it comes alive,
Yeah.
but it gives you peace in that, okay, I've got a space where it's like there's no outside influence for me right now, right? And I can psychoanalyze and stew on this and just process because no one really needs to know that,
Right.
right? They don't need to see that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, let's get into it because, anxiety. So let's talk about what it is. Okay. And this is episode 1. Next week's episode, I'm going to give you the tools. Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, keep what works for you and what resonates, drop off the rest. Okay. So what is anxiety? What does chronic anxiety feel like? Because this episode and what I feel like we're already talking about is more of a chronic anxiety, something that we live with. All right. It's not a panic attack. All right. It's really not even a big crisis in your life. Chronic anxiety, it's you always being in like bracing mode. You're always bracing. And that I feel that way quite a bit. And I know my clients do. Okay. So you wake up and you're already slightly behind. Like I will wake up in the morning, and I said this to you the other day. I wake up and I feel guilty about something. And I'm like, okay, that's some early childhood stuff coming back. Interesting.
Yeah.
If that's coming back on this day and this month and this year, that I told you that. Remember,
Yeah.
like I feel like must have had a dream. Like I feel guilty about something. It's so weird. There's nothing to feel guilty about, right? So maybe I need to go back and get some analysis on that. You wake up, but it's this feeling of like you're already slightly behind, right? And nothing has happened. Really, nothing is happening in your life, but you're behind. All right, or you wake up in the day or throughout the day you're on edge. And people see you're on edge. Maybe your partner is like, okay, what's up? And you're like, what? Like, you're like being like surly this morning. You're grumpy. Like, and you're like, oh, I am on edge. And you don't know why, right? Or you're always scanning, looking around. Or here's a big one. You're interpreting neutral events in your life as negatives. Negativity bias is what we call it. So you'll take a neutral event when you're anxious and just like, got a negative to it, and you in your air quote normal state, or when you're not feeling so anxious, could see it as that's just a neutral statement, as a neutral situation. But when you're in that chronic anxiety part of your life, or for those of you who have a really hard, it's like you really is chronic, like you never get out of this, it's really affecting the way you see the world.
Yeah.
Okay. So, let's say somebody texts you something with a period at the end, and you're like, well, are they mad at me? Like, what's
If they put a period at the
yeah,
end?
a period at the end of a text. Like, are they? Like,
No.
it's a statement,
I do
but you
that
interpret it.
often.
Well,
Should
somebody
I not do that?
Well, yeah. I mean, someone who's anxious might interpret it as, are they mad? Or the boss says, hey, texts you, or I don't know, emails you and says, hey, can you pop into my office before you leave today? Oh my trouble. What do they want? I'm in trouble. Why do they want me to come down to their office? Your kid has a certain tone in their voice that morning. And you can think about this with your children at almost any age. They have a tone. Maybe they woke up on the wrong side of the bed that morning, because even little kids do.
Yeah.
And you might think to yourself, I'm failing. I'm failing as a parent. What's going on with him or her? Why didn't I see that? Is there something? Is there something I did? Something at school? Something with the grades? Something with the friends? What's going on? Something with the team? I'm failing as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this runs rampant in people's minds. Let me tell you.
Yeah. Doesn't history play a part of this? Like, are there things that trigger you because you're like, oh, I've seen this before?
It can for some people, but not for everybody.
Yeah.
People who just their brains are going in this anxious mode.
Right.
There doesn't have to be a whole lot of history. And in some ways, Tim, this is the coach in me, doesn't matter. I mean, does it really matter that there's history? And in
Well,
some ways, it's like, okay,
it shouldn't matter at all. But
we can talk about it. We will. And and I do this in coaching and therapy, not as much in coaching, of course, but we can talk about where it comes from. But at some point, we need to get beyond the psychoanalysis and move into what we're going to do to deal with it, because it's painful for people to live in the present day with these thoughts in their heads.
yeah.
Right.
So I'm thinking about like you mentioned, like there's the boss that says, "Hey, can you stop in my office on your way to or
Before you go home today.
Yeah,
Which is unusual. Like they never email you or text you.
Well, yeah, or it's like every time that statement comes up, it's bad news to you.
Well, there's your
Right?
negativity bias.
But that's the history of it, right? So it's like, oh, I've heard this story before. This request has
for
come
some,
to me.
sure,
Right?
for some, and for others, it's just that they are anxious. Their brain is wired with anxiety,
Yeah.
and it could be. And I may say to a client, "Listen, I mean, I got this text today, and I'm really nervous, and I know, I know them, and they're anxious, or they've, we're talking this through, and I may say." They may be asking you to come into their office today because they're going to give you a promotion or you're getting a raise. Oh, I never thought of that. Well, I don't know about that. Why do you go to the negative place?
Yeah. You think that first.
Why do you go there? Why is that your
Yeah.
default?
Yeah.
And for many people who grew up in really healthy homes, when they didn't have anxious parents, there's not a lot of history there.
Yeah.
They didn't see a lot of negative things happen. They didn't have a mom and dad who ran anxious and nervous and said like glass half empty stuff all the time.
Yeah.
Now, do you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
so it's our brain, it's our wiring, it's our
I
cognition.
hear what you're saying. Can we not
It's our the neural patterns in our brain.
Yeah. Can we put a little bit of this on in this case, it would be the boss, right? Can we put a little bit of the ownership on the boss? Like if the boss knows that about somebody.
They may not know it. You're an employee of you're a team of 100. They don't know you that well.
Well, but I think maybe you should try. You should try to know it, right?
Well,
like take some time to know it, right? Because if it's a family member, you're going to have that history.
I think they're busy.
Maybe.
I think they need to probably talk to you. Who knows what it's about?
Yeah.
And they're not going to, and they would say to me, because I've worked with these individuals, I work with them.
Yeah.
We could talk about different ways of delivering the message. Maybe that's what you're saying. But they're like, Anna, I'm too busy. I don't have time to do that.
Yeah. But I think
I don't have time to do that. I need to get them in and out of my office because I have to. And usually it's something about, hey, I'm going to have you lead this team meeting, or I'm moving you up to team leader, or I need you to manage this project. I got something new for you. And you're like, oh, great. Like I need one more thing on my plate.
Yeah.
It's usually something like that.
Yeah. I see a little different. I think that's because that is a fallback for many people.
I know.
That's the mindset of many people in a position of management is they don't feel like, or they don't think about it, or they don't even know to know it. It's like you have humans that work for you, right? That have feelings and thoughts and all the things. Like treat them like that. Right?
Yes.
Take a minute to get to know them. I've had this
conversation so many times, and many are responsive and do listen to this.
Yeah.
And do change the way they're behaving and the way the tone in their voice, the way they deliver a message.
Yeah.
And at the same time, and I say that, yes, and yes. I hear all the reasons. Yes, I hear everything that's going on with you, CEO of this company. And you must find a way to deliver the message in a way that's more palatable to your people.
Sure.
Because people are quitting. The morale sucks here. I'm going to be real blunt and direct. The morale sucks. And why is that? You have people who are taking mental health days out the wazoo. Why is that?
Yeah.
You've got people who are showing up to work late. You have people who have terrible attitudes when they're here. The morale is awful. Why is that?
Yeah.
You must look at the top.
Yeah.
You must go to the top. So I completely agree with you on that.
What's the saying? The saying is people don't quit jobs. They quit people. People. Exactly.
Yes, you're right. Okay. So, another example is in your personal life, your spouse, your partner, is quiet one morning or one evening. They're just quiet. And that's not like them to be quiet.
Mm.
You might see this more with me because I'm more talkative than you, but I noticed it with you. Remember that time we were in Atlanta? I told you about the time we were in Atlanta during COVID. We were driving to Florida, and we're not doing great. We were really going through something because my business was blowing up and changing in many different ways. And we were like two ships in the night. It was all the COVID stuff and growing my business.
What was the name of that platform?
And I was doing all of the stuff with that other person.
Yeah.
Trying new business, the divorce makeover. I was just taking up a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I was on social media.
You were on Clubhouse.
I was on Clubhouse.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I was on Clubhouse all the time.
You fully embraced Clubhouse.
I did.
Right? Yeah.
And the world seemed like it could be on Clubhouse. Like you're talking in rooms with 3,000 people. And I was like on these virtual stages. Actually, I was on the phone though. You're on these stages talking, and I was like writing speeches, writing talks. It was so much work. Looking back now, it's like, God, like living inside our house all the time with COVID and listening to talks and giving talks. And it was a lot. But we sort of lost each other in that process. And I think and my father had died that summer. There was a lot. I was really grieving.
Yeah.
I think you and I lost each other. And things were pretty normal, but we were in Atlanta driving down to Florida because I was going down for the winter because I had to get out of this being inside. Now we had a freezing cold Chicago winter, and you were driving me down, and we were in that restaurant in Atlanta, and you didn't even talk. You didn't talk. And I'm more the talker, but you're, with me, you're very engaged and we're normal talking like we are right now on the podcast.
Yeah.
You were just quiet. And I remember I said something and you sort of like sighed and sort of like rolled your eyes. It was a micro expression. And it kind of freaked me out a little bit because I've never seen you be almost exasperated with me. I've never seen that look on your face in all the years we've been together. You seemed exasperated and impatient and sort of annoyed to be sitting with me at a restaurant, which was a terrible feeling. It's like, this is my husband and he seems like he doesn't want to be here with me. And I called you out, not called you out, but I said something to you about it later. Yeah. Maybe it was that night back in the hotel and you were like, what? What are you talking about? Like you denied it. I don't think you denied it on purpose. I think you just really didn't. I don't know. I don't know if you were dialed into your own, where you were at that point emotionally, physically, not physically, emotionally, psychologically, but I saw it and it worried me. And of course, then here goes my anxiety that you're quiet and you're not doing your normal engaging with me in conversation.
Yeah.
It freaked me out.
Yeah. That was a tough run right there.
But do you remember that?
Yeah, totally.
Do you remember being exasperated with me?
I remember, I think I was like, I had enough of because you just dumped your entire existence into Clubhouse. And you just and the whole platform of Clubhouse was like, just weird. Like it was a land grab. Everybody wanted the microphone.
Everybody did.
It's like going to a karaoke night and no one can actually get a grip on the mic because everybody wants it.
You're so right, Tim. It's fun. I've never heard you say this before. It's so true. And remember that one real estate guy on that? I was on a stage. There were probably 3,000 people in that room.
Yeah.
And that guy called me out in front of everybody. What was his name? I won't say his name on the podcast, but he was an asshole. Yeah. He said, how much money did you make last year? Who are you to be on this stage?
Yeah.
How much money did you make last year? I mean, these are like multimillionaires. You know what? Looking back now, I don't even know if it's true with anybody. I think a lot of it was smoke and mirrors and telling a lot of untruths.
I think pretty much all of it was smoke
and mirrors. But he embarrassed me and he shamed me on that stage. And I'm like, that's what I started to really, okay. Anyways, that's a whole thing. That's another conversation about that.
But that's a good life lesson.
But it did affect you towards me and affected, I got obsessed with it.
Yeah.
I think I was trying to escape my grief, to be honest with you.
Yeah. And you just didn't want to hear anyone else's assessment of Clubhouse at all.
Right.
I think
because my business coach at the time was encouraging me. My business coach was encouraging me to be on there and to stay on there. My business coach was encouraging me to which I did, get your own account or get your own room and you need to start speaking on stages. And I was doing all of that.
Yeah.
And you were telling me to get off it. And I'm like, yeah, but my business coach is telling me to do more of it because it's COVID. We're all at home. This is like 2020 though.
Yeah.
2020, early 21. There's no vaccine. Like this is when we're all still at home. And it was really kind of an outlet for me because I was at home all the time.
I think it was more a social outlet. Because I was looking at it from
I have friends to this day from Clubhouse still.
Okay. But I was looking at it from like a business point of view. I'm like, okay, how is somebody going to spin any of this into a financial opportunity? Like I didn't see it.
Yeah,
I
you're
was
right.
like,
You're right.
how's this going to go?
And I didn't want to hear your opinions.
Right.
I
Exactly.
and I did. I kind of like was like la 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 la. Like I put my hands over my ears.
Yeah.
And that must have been hard for you. And then the anxiety continued, and this is like beyond. Of course, we're not on a tangent. We got in a huge. We were in Seaside, Florida, in that restaurant on the beach, and you and we got in a huge fight at that restaurant. I was yelling at you.
Yeah. That was great.
The waiters. It was, I can't believe it. It was like seen out of a show. Looking back now, it's like a Real Housewives moment or a reality TV moment. I started yelling at you. You were mad at me. We're yelling at each other, but I was like yelling at you. It was terrible.
Yeah.
Every person in that restaurant turned around and stared at us.
Mm-hmm.
The waiter was staring. Everybody was looking at us. The waiter wouldn't come by. It was awful. But I was so upset. I didn't even care who saw.
Yeah.
Bad. It was a bad moment for us.
But it all worked out.
It did all work out. We're still together here.
Stop.
On the podcast in 2026.
Stop.
Okay.
It.
So going back, so that's another example of like your partner's quiet and you're like, okay, like what's going on? Thank you, baby. He's rubbing my leg. You know, your partner's upset or is quiet and you think they're upset and you're like, okay, like what's going on? What's going on? Because I'm not used to being quiet. Right. So think about that. You wake up in the morning and you have your thoughts going, your anxious thoughts going in your head by midday. You're exhausted. You are just exhausted because you can't relax.
Yeah.
Because your mind is going with all these anxious thoughts. That's chronic anxiety.
Yeah.
For you.
And think about all of the stories you just shared. And now you're putting yourself into the middle of all of that, the person that runs anxious, right?
Yeah.
Like you must have just been a hot mess on all sides, I got to imagine, right? During that time.
I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
I was also a depressed mess because, well, we call it a grief reaction. I was really grieving the death of my father. I could not believe he was not here. I could not believe he didn't exist.
Yeah.
And my business was blowing up, but I didn't really know what I was doing. I had all these loose strings, like these balloons. I was trying to grab these strings. And he was a person that I would go to. I would ask him for his advice, like, Dad, what would you do? Because he was a successful doctor, had a huge orthopedic practice. And I knew he did know something about running a small business. And I wanted to ask, I would have been like, Dad, what about this? And what about that? What do you think I should do with this? And he would give me his opinion. He was nowhere around because he wasn't here anymore.
Yeah.
And and I wanted to go to him. I didn't want to go to anybody else. And I was really suffering.
Yeah. And then on top of all of that, you had C-19 going, right? Like it was like that like
COVID and you all know, the whole world knows, anybody you all know, it was this dystopian time. I'd say 90% of the people I've talked to, it was dystopian. 10% were like, this is the best thing ever. I love it. Some people maybe a little bit more introverted, but yeah, you can't even say that. Like I had very few individuals were like, I enjoyed the time. Most people said I enjoyed it for 2 weeks. Because we all got like sent home. The world was like, you guys are bad, go home. You need to be punished. Like someone said to me, it's like we all got in trouble. We all got sent to our room without dinner. But it was like for 2 weeks, it's okay. But like a month later, people are like, okay, I'm tired of this. I need to get back to my regular life. And it just went on.
But the ones that did enjoy it are the ones that don't talk about things naturally anyways, right? Like they like quiet. They like isolation. So that for them, it was like, this is unbelievable.
And that's the minority of the population. But for even them, these are my clients. Even them, like 4, 5, 6 months later, wasn't good for them.
Yeah.
Because they got tired of wearing it was more the masks.
Time.
Yeah. That got hard. Yeah. So COVID was hopefully that's something we never go back to, but that brought out people's anxiety. So COVID, we were podcasting. That was the first year. That was a hockey stick uptick in mental health.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we couldn't keep up. This is more the therapists, my therapy colleagues. We couldn't keep up with the inquiries coming in for therapy. Mm-hmm. And I would say to people, you got to call the people that I would supervise and the therapist, call people back, email people back. Like, I'm busy. I'm getting all the, I know it's hard, but you got to sit down and you can't just blow people off. Because what I was hearing was that they weren't even emailing prospective clients back because their practice was full and they couldn't take on one more person. I'm like, yeah, but you got to email them back or text them back or call them back and say, hey, I'm busy. Because come on. Like, but so many people were looking for therapy during that time because it was like a mind screw for almost everyone.
Sure.
So there you go. If you're someone who ran anxious, COVID was going to do a number on you. Okay. So, but I want you to hear this loud and clear. If you have chronic anxiety, it's not your personality. All right. I think that's really important. I want you all to differentiate. Chronic anxiety is something that you excuse me, happen to deal with. It's something you happen to deal with. Chronic anxiety is not you. Chronic anxiety is not your personality. Okay. It's almost like your alarm system is stuck. It's like stuck on high sensitivity. Okay. So you've gotten your alarm system stuck and we're going to get it unstuck. All right. But it's not who you are. It's really important. Okay. Your alarm system can be retrained. Your alarms, and we're going to do that. Your alarm system can be like fixed and can be rearranged. And there you go. Okay.
Okay.
So let's get into it. So we're going to talk about what chronic anxiety does to you. And we're going to talk about why it sticks around. Why is it such a thing that's hard to kind of like move out of our lives once and for all? Like I said, I can't move anxiety out of my life once and for all. So I've stopped trying. I've worked on this for many, many, many years. I'm pretty good about it, and it does show up like I just explained earlier. And I've learned to say, okay, you're here. You ain't going nowhere, obviously. So I got to work with you. Like and I've said this to a client recently. We both laughed so hard. I've seen her for years. And it was about a different thing that she is really, really dealing with in her life right now. So take whatever it is that you're dealing with in your life. For me, it's anxiety. And I will say, like I said to her, okay, fine, anxiety. You're here. You're here in the room. You won't go away. I've worked on you, but you're here because like I was dealing with something big in my life. All right, so you're here. Go over there, sit in that chair, sit down and shut up. I don't want to hear from you again. I will talk to the anxiety like, knock it off.
Yeah.
Knock it off. You don't have the final say here, and you're not going to like be resonant in my mind.
Yeah.
You're here, but you need to be quiet and sit down.
Yeah.
I said that to her about what she was dealing with. She's like, that's so great. That's so great. I'm going to remember that, because for many of us, it's a good visual, like, all right, it's not going to go away.
Yeah.
Realistically forever. Okay. And I know there's people out there, especially I see sometimes with therapy and I see it in the coaching world, like we're going to make this go away forever. Oh, come on, people. No. Some people, yes. There are some things I've dealt with in my life and they're gone and they never come back. But when you deal with something that does run deep and it just is, like I said, I think it is my wiring, you just learn to live with it. It's a part of life. We learn to suffer with it. I suffer with anxiety, but it doesn't take over my life anymore.
No.
Like it did with triathlon. And we talked about the anxiety, performance anxiety.
It did, yeah.
It took over me. It was like a cloud that came over, or a wet blanket that came over me and like settled down on my shoulders and my head and pushed me down. I could not deal. I didn't have the skills. Once I got the help, it's changed. So yeah, it is there. I get anxious about things.
Yeah.
I get anxious. I still get anxious about really hard workouts because they're hard. And I know I'm going to be in the pain cave.
Yeah.
But I know how to deal with it now.
Yeah. And I mean, you got to say too, I mean, there's different levels of anxiety, right? Like it's like you could be sitting at a stoplight and getting anxious because the light's taking too long because you're late for this or that, right? That's anxiety, but it's like, it's over in a second.
Yeah.
Right. Versus somebody who runs that way and just can't get out of their own way with it. Right. I mean, there's like probably a dozen
There's
layers.
different levels of anxiety for people. Sure. And some of those people truly do maybe meet criteria for a diagnosis of a generalized anxiety disorder or a different type of anxiety disorder that's in the DSM-5. Some people, so that might be, yes, I ask the questions, us therapists, the licensed mental health people, we ask the questions for insurance and you need a diagnosis. Most people don't care. Some people do want to know if they have, a diagnosis. And I'll go through the criteria with them in the DSM-5 and they have a legit anxiety disorder. It's a disorder. Most people that I see don't have a disorder. They're like me. They just have anxiety. It's just a chronic thing in their life. All right. So let's get into, I want you to think about anxiety for you. Okay. So here are some symptoms. If you feel like you're constantly on edge. All right. So this is like your body is waiting for something to go wrong. That's a really good way to think of this. Like I'm always on edge. Like I'm always like, I feel like I'm a live wire. I'm fried. I have felt this way.
Mm.
Your baseline, your floor, your baseline is elevated. And you know it because you talk to other people in your life. And you're like, well, they don't feel the way I do. It's like my baseline, Tim, my floor is way above yours. Your baseline is ideal. Yours is much lower. You're not calm. Like I'm not, I've learned to do it. I wasn't always just calm. I was always, like I said earlier, bracing. My baseline was I was always bracing for something.
Mm.
Okay. So that's, you feel like you're always on edge. All right.
How much are you aware of it in real time that you're bracing for
I think it
something?
almost becomes like egocentric. Like I think for some people, it's like they don't even realize it
Yeah.
until like I'll tell that they're working with me and I will say it to them. And they're like, oh, yeah. I'll ask them certain questions and make them really think about themselves, like
Yeah.
some insight oriented questions. And they're like, oh, yeah. Yeah, that is me. What? Oh, yeah. I've always been that way, Anna.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's chronic anxiety that you have just learned to live with. And people can live with it and perform and do very well.
Right.
But I want to get them out of that suffering. They don't need to suffer to that level quietly and privately the way they are.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's that edge feeling.
Might somebody be able to come to that realization by themselves without somebody pointing it out and making them?
Sure. You can read about it. You can.
But you'd have to make an effort. It's
you
not like
really
it's-
got to make an effort.
Yeah.
I find most people don't do this. They're not going to make the effort. They just live with it. I think that it really does help. You fill out a questionnaire. You Google it. You can find online. You can ask AI, and you might be able to find those answers for yourself. Like go to any of the large language models today, and you can tap in or type in about chronic anxiety and trying to figure it out for yourself. Sure. Or you can continue to listen to this podcast. Yeah, you could figure it out for yourself.
Yeah.
If you deal with chronic
But you'd have
anxiety.
to want to. You'd have to recognize that that's a thing for
Well,
you.
you have to have a curiosity about
Yeah,
yourself
yeah,
if you want to know more about what makes you tick, what makes you operate.
Yeah.
And I find that most people who are going to do that or listening to this podcast still are people who they have a curiosity about themselves, but you got to have some sort of pain point. Like it's got to and this is why people come to me for services is
Yeah.
because there's a pain point and they're tired of it and they can't figure it out by themselves. It's enough now that they're like, I need help with this
Yeah.
because it's me doing this on my own isn't working. Me talking to my mom no longer helps. Me talking to my wife isn't helping me anymore. And now people are starting to say, you got to talk to somebody about this.
Yeah.
Because I don't know. I'm not a coach. I can't help
I
you.
can't
I coach you out of
work
this.
through this with you. I'm not
I can't.
qualified
I'm
to
not
do that.
qualified to do
Yeah.
this, right?
But that person's got to recognize that it's a thing, and then also consider the fact that maybe that's not the normal for them.
They realize it's not the norm, and that's why the large language models or ChatGPT are really good because you can learn about yourself by putting the information in there. But like I say, use it as a tool. It's only a tool because ChatGPT, these large language models, whatever they are, they're robots. They're not human beings with souls, and they're also not going to hold you accountable. You can put it in there and get the information. That's it.
Yeah.
That's why there's nothing takes the place of actually having a real life human being coaching your life. Okay. All right. So you're constantly on edge. All right. Chronic anxiety. You have decision fatigue. That's what we talked about with you earlier. This is a big one. People don't talk about this one enough. I see people who struggle with this. Chronic anxiety makes normal decisions for you feel dangerous. That might resonate more for you. So but for some individuals, it's decision fatigue about what to eat, what to say,
Yeah.
whether to send the text or not, how to respond to this email that just came in, whether or not I need to set a boundary and what boundary am I going to set? You could ask yourself 50 million questions about boundaries. Whether am I overreacting here? Am I not overreacting to a situation? Okay. That decision fatigue, that is exhausting. Your brain is getting fried though. Your brain is getting fried from all the micro decisions. And so what do? You either procrastinate, you don't make a decision, you procrastinate, you'll do that. You'll avoid a situation, or you'll outsource your life to whoever seems more certain than you.
Mm-mm.
So you'll outsource your agency to someone else in your life who, well, they're more certain. I'll go to them and I'll let them make the decision. Well, you could have made the decision for yourself, but you don't know how to do it because your anxiety is getting in the way of your decision making.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I'm thinking about myself. Like, I know the situations that I fall into this, the
Mhm.
types of decisions that I need to make, or the types of situations that this comes up for me. And it's a small sample size for my entire life,
Right.
right? Like, I don't roll this way 90% of the time. I don't roll this way. It's those bigger
Right.
decisions where I for whatever reason I allow myself to go down that road. But if it was flipped, if it was 10-90 instead of 90-10,
We'd have a problem.
I would
That would affect me.
I would have a huge problem existing.
Yeah, because your
Yeah.
anxiety doesn't affect me so much. I notice that you're like on the internet all the time researching like shoes or socks or the best running shoes or the best treadmills. Like I do see you doing that. Best TVs for Black Friday.
Yeah.
But it doesn't affect me. I just see you're on there all the time. But it's I think it's also how you like to spend your personal time. I think you're interested in it. If it was something else, oh yeah, it would affect our marriage.
Yeah.
It would affect you. It would
Well,
affect-
I would be paralyzed.
you'd have it at work. Yeah, it'd be a
Yes,
problem.
I wouldn't
It
be
would
able to.
a
I would
problem.
be so ineffective
Yeah.
in life.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, so another one is, and this is a really big one, is negativity bias. So when you have chronic anxiety, you've got this negativity bias, all right? So it's like, think of it as things in your life when you're not anxious, they're kind of neutral situations, like I'd mentioned earlier. You start interpreting them and they look to you like it's negative. So your brain is starting to scan, it scans for threat, but it assigns meaning to everything. So it's like it's over scanning and it's over interpreting situations in your life as negative. Okay. So the neutral becomes negative. So someone doesn't reply to you right away from a text, someone doesn't reply to you right away from an email. You interpret that as rejection. They're rejecting me. Someone doesn't smile at you one morning, or somebody doesn't smile at you in the grocery store that you smiled at them first. You're like, they don't like me. It's just like, or they're mad at me. That coworker is mad at me. They didn't smile back at me. Okay. So, some mind reading going on there. Someone gives you a short answer. Your spouse, your partner, your teenager gives you a short answer. Teenagers do this a lot. You think, oh, they're mad at me. They're mad at me. Really, people who have this chronic anxiety, this negativity bias, interpret a lot of these short answers as they're pissed off at me. They're mad at me.
That's interesting.
Feedback. This is a big one. Feedback becomes failure. Feedback is really, really hard for people. And when there's a negativity bias, which so many of us deal with, you're interpreting feedback as failure. No. It's feedback. But when you're not in the negativity bias, you take it as, and you're in neutral zone. You're like, okay, it's feedback. They gave me feedback and it's for me to learn from. And it was hard to hear, but we take it so personalization. It's a thought distortion.
Yeah.
We so much personalize it. It's like, I'm failing. I suck at this. I'm failing. They don't like me. I'm not doing well. That's negativity bias.
Yeah.
That's a big one. And I know that that's a hard one for a lot of people.
So can I give you a visual? Because I think this helps for this one, where you're talking about that scanning. You're always like, you're like looking around. Think of like those sci-fi movies. Think of like the Marvel movies. Think of like Terminator movies, where it's like all of a sudden it's first person view of like, you see what the person or the robot
sees.
But it's all like computerized and it's analyzing. And it's like it can't like get to the bottom of things, because it's like almost like got to
scanning the entire space.
Yeah, your mind must be like, right?
That's exactly
that's
good. That's exactly what the mind is doing for people who really deal with this.
Yeah.
And you think of it that way, Tim, like I just throw them compassion.
Totally.
I throw them grace, because can you imagine living in that head?
There's no finality.
And there's no calm.
There's
very little peace there.
Yeah.
They don't live in that. And that's why I said in the very beginning, meditation has been really helpful. I don't have chronic anxiety. I have anxiety, and meditation has just really helped to calm my brain down. All right. So I think it's like you're always reading the room.
Mm-hmm.
Like we say, read the room, learn how to read the room. Well, these people are always reading the room, but it's in hypervigilant state, which is too much. Okay. So, and the thing about when someone has chronic anxiety is that they don't even realize they're doing it until it's brought out, because it becomes like their modus operandi.
Interesting.
All right. Another chronic anxiety, another symptom is you feel sick a lot. You feel physically sick. So it's in your body. So it might be You have headaches, frequent headaches, jaw tension. Maybe you got TMJ. You're a jaw clencher, a teeth clencher at night. Maybe you wear a night guard. I do. I have a night guard. And I remember years and years ago, one of the nurses I worked with, I was getting a night guard. I must have been like 30 years old when I was back working in eating disorders. I remember that one of the nurses, I was telling her I was getting one because the dental assistants were saying to me, you need a night guard. You are grinding your teeth so bad. You've got to get a night guard to save your teeth. And I remember telling one of the nurses, and she goes, that's genetic. And she was a nurse. Her husband was a psychiatrist. And I'm like, really? She goes, yeah, there's a genetic piece to that. So that's true. There is a genetic piece. So think about that. So maybe you've got jaw tension. You're a teeth clencher. Your neck and your shoulders are always tight. Like you're always up here. If you see me on YouTube, like you're always up. It's hard for you. It's hard. You wake up in the morning with neck and shoulder tension. That's me as well.
Yeah.
You're somebody who probably does need more frequent massages than other people. You got gut issues, really big with anxiety. You've got irritable bowel syndrome. You've been told you have irritable bowel syndrome or irritable bowel syndrome like symptoms, nausea, cramping. That's all for many people can be anxiety. Now, of course, go to your doctor, rule out that there's anything medical going on.
Yeah,
as always,
yeah.
make sure you rule out that there's not something medical or really very physical going on. Like you really do have something with your gut, like a autoimmune or something. But if you've been given a clean bill of health because irritable bowel syndrome is a compilation, it's a syndrome, it's a compilation of symptoms that they don't have a definitive diagnosis for. That's what irritable bowel syndrome is. I had it many years ago. I don't think I have it anymore, but I definitely had it, with huge stress and anxiety in my life, 20, 25 years ago when this was really, really bad. Going through my divorce, I mean, it was cramping, it was nausea, sometimes vomiting, but the cramping, the bloating, out of control.
Yeah.
Like I wouldn't even want to go out on a weekend night with my girlfriends because the bloating was so bad I couldn't zip up my pants.
Yeah.
That was bad. I went to GI for that and
Yeah.
really got help with it. Okay. But the GI said to me, this is psychosomatic. You're somaticizing your anxiety into your gut. I'm like, yeah, okay, all right. Thanks for telling me that. I kind of knew it deep down inside,
Yeah.
but to hear it.
But it had you turn the corner and instead of considering one thing or dealing with one thing, you're like, okay,
well, I started
way.
taking an anticholinergic. I can't say this word. An antispasmodic for my gut. I just went to therapy. I went back to therapy, and I started meditating. It made a big difference. So I did 3 things to deal with what was going on with my irritable bowel syndrome. And the years later, I mean, I don't really have it anymore. So physical, pay attention to the physical. So much of our anxiety is in our bodies. Okay. So, or when you feel like you're always fatigued, like you just cannot relax. All right. This is a fun combo, sarcastically speaking. This fun combination, is where you're tired and you're wired the exact same time. And it sucks.
That is
you're tired and you're
combo.
wired.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Like what to do. It's like, it's like the squirrel.
Yeah.
Like which way do you go? Right.
You just can't relax.
Yeah.
Okay. Another symptom of chronic anxiety might be you avoid things that used to matter to you. So this is, this part sneaks up on people because it's sort of insidious in how it happens over time. Okay. You stop doing things that, they genuinely light you up. You genuinely enjoy and have fun doing.
You said genuinely light you up.
Genuinely light you up or used to.
Yeah. Okay.
Like going to that group workout where you know everybody or just working out. It might be you're avoiding social plans or you say yes to social plans, but then you'll flake. At some point you're like, I don't really feel like going and you don't go. So you avoid or you say no or you at the last minute say no to social plans. When you really did and used to enjoy going out to dinner with these people or playing pickleball with these people, you're a creative and you enjoy creative projects, but now you're not really doing them anymore. You're not painting, you're not drawing, you didn't sign up for the next class, you're not going to the next acting or a choir, you're blowing off choir practice. Pay attention to that, okay? You're avoiding leadership opportunities. When you're a leader, and you have it in you and you have it in you, but your anxiety is completely taken over and you have these opportunities and you're saying no. That's a big one. Dating. You just got out of the dating world. You want to find somebody. You want to find love, but your anxiety has taken over and you are no longer on the dating apps and you're saying no to friends trying to set you up with someone who they think would be a good fit for you. You're saying no, you're avoiding it. Maybe you're avoiding travel. You know what? Maybe you love travel. You used to be a part of your identity. Used to be something that you just look forward to, and a new country, new people, new sights, and you're not doing that right now.
Hmm.
Maybe just your hobbies. Just think about for all of you, like your hobbies in general. You're not doing them. Okay, that could be chronic anxiety. It's not because you don't care about them anymore. It's because your system is really just maxed out. Your system is maxed out. You don't have the bandwidth because your anxiety is taken over. You don't have the bandwidth to plan a trip. You don't have the bandwidth to even get up and go to the pickleball court. It's your anxiety is taken over. I think of it as like Stranger Things. Like in Stranger Things, that show on Netflix, we just finished watching those tree roots or those worms or whatever those things were. They just take over everything.
Yeah.
That's like anxiety. It just takes over in your mind.
Yeah. That's a bad feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, it's because there's your paralysis again.
But and here's the thing is that once you stop doing those things, so what's happening is your life is getting smaller. And we don't realize it in the moment that we're doing this. Our life is getting smaller. Your anxiety is getting louder. You're letting it live louder, louder, bigger, bigger in your mind, and your life is getting smaller. And you don't even see it when it's happening.
Yeah.
All right. So, if any of this for you listening to this episode today is like, hello, that's me. That's me. That's a good thing. Okay. This is good. All right. Because it's not good that you're suffering. I don't want that for you at all. It's not good that you have these feelings, but it's good that we're naming it and we're naming it accurately for you that this is chronic anxiety. Okay. Because you can't change what you keep mislabeling in your life. You may not realize this is chronic anxiety. So you can't change it if you don't know what it is. So this episode is about labeling it for you. Okay. So let's go into a little bit and then this next episode, I'm going to give you the tool. So anxiety is an alarm. Let's reframe it. Anxiety, it's just your alarm system. Okay. So it's not evil. It's protecting you. It's all, your body is always there and your brain is there to protect you. It's your, I talked about this before, your central governor. Your central governor is trying to keep you alive. All right. It's your brain. All right. So it's not evil. It's being protective. It's, the issue is when the alarm becomes chronic. So the alarm is always going off. You're like, God, shut that thing down. Can someone figure out where the alarm is? Turn it off. You have not been able to turn it off. So chronic anxiety is basically your nervous system saying to you, we don't trust the future. We don't really trust people anymore. Shoot, we don't even trust ourselves. Okay, this is chronic anxiety. And I certainly don't trust uncertainty. Maybe I did before, but I don't trust uncertainty now. Okay, I don't trust any of the gray. It's black or it's white. And if there's any gray, we don't trust it. And that makes us nervous and that makes us anxious. That's your brain. All right. So it stays on watch, hypervigilant, like you said, the Marvel movies. Like the first person, always scanning. And the reason it's staying on watch is because it's not because you're feeling anxious. It's because, sort of very innocently, you've probably developed habits that are rewarding the alarm. That's big. You have started to develop habits that are rewarding your alarm system. Okay. And that's the big idea for you today. Okay. So chronic anxiety is often maintained by the behaviors that give you short-term relief. Hear that? I'm going to say it again. Chronic anxiety is often maintained. You're maintaining it by your behaviors. And these behaviors are giving you short-term relief. That's why you're staying where you are. Okay. So this is an anxiety loop that you've gotten yourself into. And I just talked about this on social media recently. So I want you to picture this like a loop. All right. Think in your mind. Let's do a loop in your mind. All right. Because if you can see the loop, you can start to interpret the loop. All right. So let's start the beginning of the loop. The beginning is here's a trigger. I'll give you an example later. Trigger. Then we go into alarm. The alarm is your body. Alarm is going off. Then there's a story you tell yourself in your mind. You've got the story. This is what your mind is doing. You go into the relief behavior.
Yeah.
You're looking for the behaviors, giving you relief from the story, from the alarm in your body. You got some temporary calm now. Okay, you brought it down a little bit. But what happens? Now we're closing the loop because you got stronger anxiety later. So this keeps replaying, replaying the loop because you don't know how to get off the loop. I say this all the time to my clients. Like, we're going to get you off the loop and we're going to get you into a different trajectory. We're going this. We're not doing this anymore. If you're watching on YouTube, we're not doing this. We're doing this and we're going here. Okay. We're getting off of it. We're going in another direction.
Yeah.
That's what I teach.
Yeah.
All right. So let me give you an example. An example might be let's go back to the one we said earlier. Your boss says, hey, before you leave today, can you come in? Can you come into my office just for a minute? Your alarm system, what's your stomach doing? Oh my God. Your stomach drops and you're starting to perspire a little bit. You don't even really realize you're doing this. Like, your heart rate goes up and you're actually kind of perspiring or you're sweating. And you know it's there, but you're not really aware of it. So that's your physical alarm system. And here's the story. What does he want? What does she want? I'm in trouble. I'm in trouble. Okay, I'm getting fired, or I'm getting taken off that project. What did I do wrong? What did I do? And here's the relief behavior that you're doing to cope with that, because you have 4 hours before you leave that you got to go to your boss's office. You're going to rehearse it in your mind. You're rehearsing what he's going to say to you or they're going to say to you. You're going to text somebody. Oh, I have to go. Like, I'll text you, my spouse, my partner. I'll text my friend, my mom, my dad. Oh, so-and-so, my boss, Paul, wants me to stop in the office before I go home today. You're texting, nervous, anxious. You're checking emails. Did he send me an email? Is there something in these emails? Something that the team email, the chat that it's going to be, okay, I'm going to over-explain in my mind why this might be happening. And I'm already coming up with reasons of what he or she might say to me. And I'm going to over-explain in my mind. And I'm catastrophizing. I know I'm catastrophizing, but just in case I get fired, I got to get fired. Okay. But just in case. So we start to catastrophize. We have the worst case scenario in our minds. There's that loop, right? And, catastrophizing we consider that a thought distortion in the cognitive behavioral world. We're doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, I've done all of this before, right?
Yeah.
You maybe have done it to a certain extent too, right?
You're good. You're going back to that scan where you're scanning history, trying to figure out what led to this moment.
And when you're catastrophizing, you think of the worst case scenario. What do you do? So here's your temporary calm part of the loop. Well, at least I'm prepared. I've thought this through. Okay, so at least I know what's going to happen. All right. Well, the stronger anxiety, it's coming later. It's like the brain says to you, well, you didn't get fired. So let's say you went to your boss's office, you didn't get fired. It was something neutral.
Yeah.
And you're like, well, okay, but brain, good job panicking. The brain's telling you this, good job that you panicked because you were prepared if there really was danger.
Yeah.
So you prepare for that.
Yeah.
And it was like, hey, you're not fired. I'm taking you off this team. I'm taking you off this project. I need to put you on this one. You need to help so-and-so out, which is actually a positive because they want you to help somebody else out. But you're like, good job, brain, because you prepared for that. No, you didn't get fired, but that was really stressful and you protected yourself from danger.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
This is all subconscious stuff.
It's all
you're talking about.
But we all do it to a certain degree.
Yeah,
Maybe you don't because you're like the 10%. But I think most of us do this.
Yeah.
Right? It's not your fault. It's a mechanism that your brain is doing. All right. And if you don't change this mechanism, you're going to keep paying for it.
Yeah. True.
Right?
So true.
Okay.
So true.
So I think we're going to stop here because we're well over an hour. And I want you in the next episode, I'm going to give you a checklist, okay, of the anxiety maintenance behaviors. So these are the anxiety behaviors that's feeding this alarm system that's going off in your brain. And then I'm going to give you the tools.
Okay.
Okay. So we're stopping here. I know we're stopping kind of sort of midway through, but this is a long one. I don't want to go into any more detail because if you're still listening, that's amazing. All right. So please subscribe, rate, review the podcast. Thank you to all of you who are subscribed and are sharing this with people. We really, really appreciate it. Okay. If you want to work with me, you know how to find me. I'm on the internet. You can find me on social media. Hello, Anna Marcolina is my website. Hello at Anna Marcolina is my email. You will get me. Okay. And set up a time to get on a call with me and let's see, how we can work together. Okay.
Yeah. And let me just say this. The shares are big, right? And they're easy to do.
Yeah.
I share this podcast episode, depending upon what the topic is, and if I feel like it could resonate with somebody, I will just share a link to it.
Who doesn't deal with anxiety?
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't have an anxiety disorder, and this is anxiety. So many of us deal with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you can get relief. There's relief on the other side of it once you learn the tools.
True.
Okay. So mad love. We'll see you all next week for part 2 of anxiety, how to deal and how to move beyond chronic anxiety. Mad love.